culture is at its best when it kicks out the worst people automatically. Like, and it not so much that they're like mean to them or they're not being inclusive, but more so people kind of just get in there that aren't a culture fit and they just go like, oh man, like this isn't right. Like something isn't right. I'm not right for this. And then they self-exit and then there's like no drama. They're just like, no, this just wasn't for me. And meanwhile, you're like
1,000% true.
Meanwhile, your filtration system is like functioning at its peak and it's going super well. So that's super fascinating. And where are you finding people right now in order like to bring great people on your team? Is it just straight word of mouth? I mean, the media buyer circle is like at the top is probably pretty small. How are you finding these people?
Realistically, it's same old fashioned ways because, even, Heman-X recruiting, the other side of it, we have been putting so much focus in talent acquisition. Ever since probably October last year, we've been spending thousands and thousands of dollars every single month, not on advertising our companies, but on Indeed ads, LinkedIn ads, headhunter organizations. Like our constant focus is talent because we know the only constraint to growth in our company is having the right team that we can count on. And so I think, there's no real hack. It's when talent is your number one focus, you tend to find good people. Yeah. I think the struggle for most businesses, and we've been really blessed to not deal with this. And we have to like really acknowledge that is a blessing for us. It's just like, we haven't been focused on bringing in revenue. We've never had to have that problem. And so we've had so much of a blessing to really refine culture and how we hire because that's our main focus to grow.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, dude. Yeah. And I don't see ads for the services that you offer. And I know that I'm inside of all of those cycles because of the other advertisements I've got, but never seeing ads for Heman Group. Because truly you're just doing great work for people and those people are referring you.
Just for fun, but we're going to start soon. We just want to get our name out there. Even if we can't take on clients, we want to get to the point where it's just like, whether we can take you on or not, you still are like, could you put me on a wait list or could you know about us?
Right. Yeah. It doesn't hurt to build up a massive wait list. So that's a really good point. So when you were getting started, obviously you had certain belief systems about yourself and business and entrepreneurship. What do you no longer believe about entrepreneurship that you used to believe?
So how deep do you guys want to go on this podcast?
So deep, dude. Yeah. Deep as you want to go.
If I was totally transparent, I think for the longest time, actually, my problem wasn't refining what entrepreneurship meant to me, but more of fighting the struggle that I thought I was never supposed to be an entrepreneur. Like real talk, when I wanted to be a pastor and I literally never thought about being an entrepreneur or business owner, even though when I look at my life, I had common tendencies of entrepreneurs. I mean, when I was broke, I'd self-taught myself how to repair phones and computers by YouTube to make extra cash. Or I was selling my plasma to make extra money to take my wife out on a date. Like we were so broke, but I always had these tendencies, but realistically, I never had the ambition of doing it. And I always thought I was supposed to be a pastor ever since I was in 8th grade. And so for the longest time, actually, my biggest struggle was feeling like I was not where I was supposed to be. And maybe I was actually missing my calling. And I was frustrated for the longest time with that because I'd moved cross country twice to try to be a pastor, New Orleans and Seattle. And it always kept shutting in my face. And when we, even in the beginning of Heman for the first year, when we started doing so well, there was so much friction in my head of, I always thought I was not supposed to be this, and now I am. Am I missing it? And now it's come from a place of stewardship, I would say, that I still don't know if entrepreneurship is what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life, but I know it's on my plate right now. And what's got me to where I am now is because I've always looked at what do I currently have in front of me. Whatever that is, I'm choosing now to go at it as hard as I can because I refuse to look back and say I mismanaged what was in front of me. Therefore, I missed out on what I could have done. And so for me right now, I don't even know what entrepreneurship's supposed to look like. I have a plan for what I'm going to do, and I'm very confident in what I think I'm supposed to do. But for me, the word is stewardship. Treating what I have with the best possible outcome that I can give it.
That's so good. And it speaks to your ability to like retain clients too. You know, taking care of what you do have so more will be given unto you. And like that's biblical also. So that really plays alongside. And when you were wanting to be a pastor, did you, and so this is a really interesting topic. So yeah, this might get pretty deep, but, was there a time when you thought not only that you might be missing it, but that the highest calling of you was pastor, and that being in a business wouldn't have been as high of a calling as being a pastor?
Yeah, absolutely. That was 100% it. It was, I thought I was called to vocational ministry, and I thought I knew what that looked like, and I thought I knew how that process was supposed to be, because I grew up in the Bible Belt. I grew up in Missouri, where you go straight into ministry school and then you become a pastor, and then you speak on stages, and then you go to conferences, and like that's the life, that's the dream life that you're supposed to do. And even for me, it's funny, like, and I have to be careful because it's almost feels disrespectful for all the people who are working their butts off to get where they are in business. But even when we hit 100K a month or 200K a month, like it didn't affect me, because I still felt like I was missing the top. The top for me wasn't business or revenue, it was impact. And I thought impact, the epitome of impact, was being a pastor. But the moment that started changing for me was when I actually started seeing the behind the scenes of church plants and church building, and what churches actually do for everyone. And some are incredible, but the vast majority of churches right now will have far less impact than my business does currently. And that really started to change things for me. When I saw the checks that I could write out to organizations, or I saw the amount of people that are not, you know, and again, like if you're listening and not religious, apologies, but this is just my perspective. But the amount of people who are not Christian or do not believe in God or any kind of thing, calling, special purpose, the amount of people that I got to communicate on a daily basis like that, I was like, man, I'm literally talking to more people than I did when I was a pastor in New Orleans or in Seattle. And that really started to change things for me.
It doesn't have to be a church in order to impact people and change lives and, you know, win people for God's kingdom.